as Group A features hosts Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland. Germany are the favorites to go on and win this group, and the third favorites overall to win this competition. Where shall we begin? As I said, winner, dual forecast to qualify, point totals. What are you looking at in terms of Group A?
Group A, I am solely on the point totals. I don't have anything in terms of the market's dual forecast or to qualify. I think they're all short enough. Switzerland, as anyone who's listened to the outright preview, I'm liking the chances. They're short to qualify, minus 200. Hungary as well, minus 155. I think it's difficult because I think this is one of the tougher groups to assess because everyone's a kind of a similar level. I mean, Germany are a little bit ahead, but everyone else is. I think I'd put Switzerland above Hungary, and then I'd put Hungary above Scotland. But I don't think there's that much between the three teams. So it's a good one to assess because it is just the fact that we are getting a little bit of value because the bookies are quite. If you've got a strong opinion of a certain team, then you'll find a bet that you like in this group. So I'm starting off with Germany under 6.5 points at plus 127. I'm surprised that the line's this high, to be honest, because as I've said, the three teams that are in the group with them, I do rate them. I think they are capable of causing some problems for Germany, especially with the style of play in which they adopt. I mean, Scotland and Hungary in particular are more than happy to sit deep and to frustrate, play on the counter-attack, make it a low-scoring grind. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see one or both of them take points off Germany. And yeah, Switzerland are similar, but not as pragmatic, and they've got a little bit more punch in attack, I think. So yeah, I'd be surprised if Germany went and landed 7 points in this group. I think to be honest, I think 5 points probably wins you the group because I think everyone probably takes points off each other. So yeah, I'm taking Germany on their point line of 6.5.
I think that Germany is by far the best team in this group, but that's not a total that I want to take. I think 6 is realistic for them to come away with points in every game. That could happen, but does it come through 2 wins and a draw, which it would take to go over the total? I'm not quite sure about that. My favorite play in this group, and sorry to the Tartan Army, Scotland to fail to qualify from this group at minus 115. Are you familiar with Cinderella, Jake Osgathorpe? Because I feel like the clock has struck midnight and they've turned into a pumpkin. Not that they won't play competitive games. When they beat Spain and when Scott McTominay was scoring every game through qualifying, absolutely. But I think
everyone's getting carried away. Everyone got carried away, didn't they? Yeah,
they have, and I think that they are, for me, the weakest team in this group. Steve Clark's side played 7 games between September and March. They drew 2 and they lost the other 5. Scott McTominay, without that, pronounced number 9 or reliable strikers. Lyndon Dykes is now out for this tournament, joining the likes of Hickey and others. Some key players for a side with not a lot of depth have lost some key players heading into this tournament. McTominay scored 7 of their 17 goals in qualification. Like, Scott McTominay, all of a sudden, your most reliable source of goals. John McGinn scored 3, by the way, and the only other player to score more than once in qualifying. That just tells me that they don't have enough to hang in what is a, above average group for this tournament. Yeah. So, and at minus 115 not to qualify, I think our odds are, I can't see them winning a game. Let's put it that way. They may be able to play 1 or 2 of these sides to a draw, but I mean, 2 points at best, and that's what I have them on, isn't enough to be one of the top 4 third place teams. So at minus 115, that's my favorite play. I want to bring up the fact that I originally had Hungary to advance from the group at minus 127. That's been pushed out to minus 155, I believe. Like, it's been pushed out considerably. And that's just not a place. That's just not a place that I'm willing to go on Hungary. Although I do like this side, I think they're a difficult team to play against. They remind you of just a well-drilled league championship side. That's just a pain that you know what to play against. Szoboszlai is their star player. I rate him, but so much comes through him. There's reference points for this team doing well in tournament football as well, playing in tough groups. They were in the groups of death. And I believe it was in the Euro 2 editions before. previous, where they played teams like Portugal, very, very tough in this group stage. So there are reference points here. Are they good enough to do some serious damage? I'm not quite sure about that. I think that they've been pushed out of range. In terms of Switzerland, I know that you like them. Just for me, not a team that I'm willing to back in any of the numbers. I think they will and are good enough to advance from the group, but beyond that, not so much. But in terms of point totals, everything else in this group, there's nothing that jumps off the page for me. I echo your sentiments. I do think it will be competitive football played across the board, but Scotland to fail to qualify, that's the one play I'm confident enough to make. Anything else from Group A, Jake?
Yeah, I'm a bit greedier than you in terms of the Scotland play. I'm taking them on their point line. It's 2.5. We're getting plus 125 for under 2.5 Scotland points. And yeah, if you do any kind of data digging around the qualifying, you'll soon find that Scotland were one of the worst teams to actually make the tournament. Mm-hmm. They ranked second worst across the qualifying for expected goals for per game. Only Albania were worse. And they ranked second worst for overall expected goal process, with only Georgia performing worse. So they were really fortunate to make the finals. I mean, Norway racked up nearly twice as many expected points as Scotland, and Scotland somehow managed to pip them. So, like you said, you called it Cinderella. I personally never went that far. I thought they were riding their luck. They were so fortunate in the way in which they managed to get the points. I mean, they scored 17 goals from chances equate to 7 expected goals. I mean, that's just not a sustainable way of playing. You're not going to score 10 more goals than expected over your next 8 games, are you? So, yeah, I'm happy to fade them. Like they'll be playing to avoid defeat in all 3 games. They are the inferior team in the group. And just not sure where the goals are going to come from. You mentioned McTominay, but yeah, he was the player that would just... he was the one that kind of helped them overperform their underlying data by such a margin, by scoring 7 times. I mean, he's not going to be able to fire them through this group or score enough goals to be able to make them relevant. So I think they'll be a tough team to break down. They'll be a tough team to beat. I don't think, I like you. I'm not be surprised if they drew twice and lost once, but that's where the under 2.5 comes in lovely, because that would be just fine.
Yeah, and at a plus number, I'll jump on board with that. If you're going to bet them to not qualify at minus 115, you might as well add on that play. I project them to have 2 points at most under that number at plus 125. I'll back that on that play as well.